Today's episode is sponsored by Astero's Cybersecurity Services. These days, organizations of all sizes are targets for cyber criminals, disgruntled employees, or even nation-state attackers. Astero's performs cybersecurity services providing expert guidance to help organizations defend against threats and protect their data. Astero specializes in penetration testing, where they perform ethical hacking on networks, web apps, or organizations as a whole to simulate what an attacker would do and plug the discovered holes before anyone malicious finds and exploits them. Asteros also specializes in vulnerability management, security awareness training, phishing simulations, cloud security audits, compliance readiness assessments, and much more. As technology expands, it becomes easier and easier to run a business, but if your security is not growing along with your company, then you're going to run into problems. If you don't personally have a company of your own, definitely pass this information along to someone who does, because for a limited time, Asteros is offering companies an attack surface audit completely free. Let Asteros discover potential entry points to your network and how susceptible your company or organization is to cyber attacks. To learn more and to take advantage of this essential offer, just go to asteros.com/free. That's Asteros, ASTEROS.com/free. Have you guys heard of Matt Miller? He's not only the guy who paints those amazing portraits of all your favorite heroes in the liberty movement and in pop culture, but he's also now an official sponsor of this show. From Murray Rothbard to Ron Paul, Dr. Robert Malone to Darth Maul, Matt Miller's Liberty Portraits has something fun for everyone to spice up your home or office and showcase your heroes. Go check out his incredible work at libertyportraits.com. Grab a print to impress your friends, hire him for a custom portrait, or bring him out to a festival to capture your event in real life in a beautiful and unique way. To find out more, just head over to libertyportraits.com. Once again, that is libertyportraits.com. I like that one better. I like that one better for the open. It gets a little bit redundant using the same thing for everything. But hey guys, welcome. Welcome to the show. Martha's Vineyard is racist. And Biden's going to send cancer to the moon. And people are talking about the LP. Oh, COVID's over. I don't want to spoil too much, but we got a lot to talk about today. Welcome back. And you're going to go out and share this with your friends. Forgot to tell you. I know you forget every time. Make this the one time you don't forget. Other than Sharon, she's going to share it no matter what, even though she's not here. Everybody, oh, she is here. Everybody, go. Do as Sharon does this one time. Like, don't do anything else that Sharon does in real life. Don't drink the box wine or kick your kids around the house or whatever. I don't know. All allegations still, whatever. But do what she does when she goes out and shares this show right now, and let's get weird.
All I ask is, if we have to give these bastards our lives, we give him hell before we do!
The tragedy of our day is the climate of fear in which we live.
Talking about the Salomon Brothers building collapsing.
But ask the congressman to withdraw that comment and tell us that he didn't really mean that.
Half a shot before they do what I call nasty.
I don't know what I said. I did not have sexual relations with that woman.
The Bible commands that certain people be put to death.
Thieves were possessing weapons of mass destruction. 9/11 attacks were carried out by Al-Qaeda.
Handle the truth.
I remember that with Matthew Moses. We are still here!
We have to say yes to socialism.
It's a big club, and you ain't in it.
Oh yeah, it's a big one. Big club, all right. You're not in it. The Venezuelans aren't in it either, turns out. Immigrants don't seem to be in the club. You and I definitely aren't in that club, but we're in this club. Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen, to The System is Down, the place where we talk about all the uncomfortable topics like conspiracies, politics, and religion. Before we go anywhere, I just want to say Hector Roos, I know you're in the chat. Go check your Twitter messages. Just do it, and we'll see where this show takes us today. I'm not entirely sure. I've got a plan, but I'm down for it going wherever it needs to go. Enough with the music. That's enough. Welcome to the show. This is a place where we talk about the things and you get all triggered, and then you laugh about it, and you feel okay because the world's ending, and why not laugh? This show is sponsored mostly, 100% actually, 100% of this show is sponsored by you guys in the Downers Club. People like Justin Savoy, Justico Mitchell, Silas Lane, Jason Brunson, Dave versus Goliath, Anthony Portillo, Autumn, Matt, Gid, Alex, Zara, Heffa, Level, Sean, Paul, George, Ringo. I don't know. If you want to get your name on that list and possibly have it read by me incorrectly, go on over to patreon.com/thesystemIsdown, and you will get more weird, more raw, more offensive. That's right. You won't just get your name on a list. You'll get all the bonus content, including the after parties, which we do every single Wednesday after these episodes. We're also going to be, I believe Mark, Claire, and I are going to be doing our breakdowns and recaps of Andor, which just came out today, the new Disney Plus Star Wars show, because we are freaking nerds, and sometimes we don't like to talk about controversial stuff. We just like to talk about how Disney is bringing politics into all of our non-controversial stuff. So if you want to check that out and hear some bitter old men rant about more things, go to patreon.com/thesystemIsdown and sign up for the Downers Club today. Now, news and things. Things are happening. Lots of things. Hector, go check your messages. Now, before we talk about the news or whatever, I'm going to intro the guy now. You know him. He's like me from an alternate, much older, much slightly wiser, just different dimension. He's like the asshole version of me. Yes, I wasn't quite there enough, and we needed another one. So it's Dave Casey.
Yo, dog. You from Wish.com? Don't you fuck with me.
Oh, man. Back on the Twitter, eh?
I'm going to give it a rip, dude. These guys can't take any. I'm like fucking Rocky 5 at the end. Touch me and I'll sue. Sue me for what? What do I got to lose, bro?
I'm not that old, man. Maybe if you said like Saw or something like that, where Jigsaw keeps coming back. I'm not old enough for the Rockies.
It's called Rocky. It's a franchise that came out in the 70s, lasted until right now. You should look into it.
Is that the one about sweet one? Is it about the mountains, the Rocky Mountains?
You definitely got to climb some mountains with a montage.
Yeah. Eye of the Tiger playing in the background. I don't know where that song comes from, but it seems like it'd be fitting.
Comes from the gods, bro.
Yeah. So what's up, man? Anything new in LP Delaware world or Dave Casey world or anything else?
Yeah, we're gonna start streaming from LP Delaware. We're gonna do that tomorrow night. So go subscribe to LP Delaware on YouTube and Twitter, Facebook, and we're gonna start just talking about stuff we're doing around here. So that's tomorrow night.
Rad. Hector Roos is in the chats. He says, yes, Dan. And he says, holy crap, I can't tell the difference between these two. So it seems like we'll have to get Hector on a little bit later. Maybe we'll bring him in to talk about some DeSantis stuff. I'll drop you a link in your chats there, Hector, and you hop in once we start talking about DeSantis stuff. You know, if you come in early, it's not that big a deal. I'll just ignore your ass and send you back down to Venezuela where you came from or whatever the fuck. Anyway, we're talking about news. Things are going on. And before we talk about too much news, I got to talk about some local stuff because I got some comments this week. I don't usually read a bunch of comments or anything, but sometimes they're too good to ignore. And clearly this guy wanted my attention, so now he's going to get it. He commented on my last Tom McDonald interview, and he said this. The dude who's interviewing Tom is absolutely awful. First off, we are there for him. Why is he interrupting? Oh, by the way, there's almost no punctuation in this. First off, we are there for him. Why is he interrupting him so much after he asks a question and then on top of it, Tom jokes about his girl, God forbid something happening, quote, who's gonna do my videos, and this dude says, I will. Now, pause. Tom, if you're listening, if she dies, I will do your videos. That's just a fact.
That's actually true.
I'm happy to do it. That doesn't, I hope she doesn't, but.
It's good to have a backup. I don't know why that's controversial.
Yeah. I won't do them as well because she's really good and I hope she doesn't die, but I'm here. Anyway, what a stupid response to something that would be such a tragedy and loss. Yeah, probably. That's okay. This guy with the side part is awful. Stop interrupting him. We don't want to hear your opinion. We're tuning in to listen to him. Oh my God, shut up. Now I wonder.
He's not gonna fuck you, dude.
Was this his live commentary? Like, is it this long? He gets angrier and angrier as it goes on, and he keeps repeating himself almost as if he's just like typing notes the entire time he's reading, and then just posted them all as one comment. This is This is good. And so, of course, my response was, thanks for watching. Be sure to like and subscribe. Anyway, thank you for that. And also...
Shut up, silly woman.
Anyway, we talk about the news here. We talk about the things that are happening, and we share a laugh at them because, you know, the world is probably ending, and I know that most of you get it, but I was going back and listening to some old stuff of mine that we'll talk about a little bit later today, and I was more hopeful back then, I suppose, in my messaging. Now, like, when I say the world is ending, most of you people who know me know that I'm mostly joking, unless I'm not. I don't know, because the world kind of is, and it could at any point, and I think it's important to realize the severity of the situation that we're in. I'm not looking to fear porn or anything, but I do think it's good from time to time to point out the world might not be ending. And when I say that it is, I mean it even less than AOC means it. I just like a good dark joke. Are you black pilled or white pilled, or what kinds of pills are you munching on these days, Dave Casey?
Oh, fuck, dude. I wish you wouldn't have asked me that. Yeah, too many black pills. But I don't want to. That's the thing. Like, I feel like I'm predisposed to the black pill.
Yeah.
So I'm wondering how much of it's in my own head. But, yeah, it doesn't look good first.
Yeah, I agree. And on that downer note, we typically like to start out with the good news. And continuing on that downer note, the good news today is for Democrats. Democrats.
Oh, good.
Breaking. 41-year-old driver admits to intentionally running over and killing Republican teenager in North Dakota due to political dispute.
See, I freaked out there for a second. Then I saw Republican, and I was like, whew, all right.
Yep.
All right. We're good.
Yeah, I mean, this should be a good note for them, right? For people who go along with the Biden thing, like, I'm not trying to be hyperbolic or inflammatory or whatever in saying this. I'm saying, like, for you people who are calling Trump supporters maggots and saying that they have, like, no reason to live and they should all die, this is what you're asking for, right? This is what you wanted. And after Trump said, fight like hell in a political election, and you said that he was a terrorist for it, let's not compare the two. Let's just focus on this. Is this what you wanted? Because I don't know. What do you think, Dave?
Yeah, man. I'm absolutely terrified about this. And if you're watching right now, you might be saying, Dave, the Biden speech at the Independence Hall was like 3 weeks ago, bro. It's old news. Yeah, it's fucking terrifying. And you should go back and watch that entire speech again, because it is, dude, we've talked about this a lot.
Yeah.
The inversion of the war on terror being turned right back on the people, the very people who pushed for it 20 years ago.
Yep.
You're getting looked at, and we're getting caught up in the, in the drag, right? Anybody who's not on that team is, an extremist. The other, I mean, all of it from, the painting Muslims like that.
Yeah.
We've talked about zombie culture, just like kind of, if you can paint a human being as other in any way, like, it's crazy they've figured out how to do that domestically.
Yeah.
Because we're so the same in almost everything. Everybody wants to have a family, and everybody wants their own freedom, and everybody wants to, a certain degree of safety and these things. But yet they figured out this master plan, like how to divide everybody to the point where, each side thinks the other side is full on terrorists.
Yep.
That's so crazy.
41-year-old guy here was having a dispute with this 18-year-old boy. The 18-year-old boy was, quote, involved in extreme right-wing, whatever, radical. I know that doesn't really make it a quote. You get my point. Like, the guy says that he admitted after being caught that he did it because the boy was involved in a radical Republican whatever group. 14-year-old nerdy boy here with braces said the wrong thing. They had a dispute, and a 41-year-old man chased him down in his car. The boy called his mom, scared, and the guy just ran him over mercilessly in an alleyway.
Oh, my God, that's even worse than I had anticipated.
Yep, and admitted to all of it. And
this is not a dispute between two grown men. There's an adult, and there's a practical child. Yep. And, dude, really, the onus, I mean,
not that it would be any better if it was two adults. Well, I guess it would be slightly better, but it doesn't really matter. It's like...
I mean, murder's bad.
The age difference does make it even more bombastically absurd that a grown-ass man is like listening to a teenager rant on about Trump, and he's like, I just can't take this anymore, and runs over the kid.
As if the kid is the problem. Like, it's
Right.
only you, dude. That kid has no problem. Not Trump, not his politics, nothing. You can disagree, it's fine. But this was literally 100% your fault.
Right.
Fuck.
Yeah. So that might not be the best way to start out the show, but I was laying in bed last night and I was like, you know what? That's the outcome that they were searching for, it would seem, when you're saying, when Biden goes on stage and demonizes an entire group of people, which, again, as I said in the episode a couple weeks ago, he's not just demonizing MAGA people. He's demonizing anybody who's not a regime person. That includes libertarians, that includes anarchists, that includes Amish people. It doesn't fucking matter. Anybody who's opposed to their way, that includes you. And he demonized you and everybody, and now things like this are on the rise. Do you think that I don't know, like I'm wondering how crazy this election season is going to go, because right now we're at this point and we have grown men running over, I don't want to say children, but 18-year-old boys for having the wrong political opinions. Not in this, I mean, this isn't just like one thing that happened by one crazy person either. We've seen plenty of these escalations. But do you think we'll make it to the midterms, Dave? Not to be a fearmonger or anything.
I think that
it's a legitimate question.
The October surprise will probably be a pretty, they might up it.
Yeah.
That feels like that's a common theme, right? Just a constant race to the bottom. Like, things are increased in severity and intensity, and the anger always goes up. And
we're starting at this level of like murder level, and we've got the October surprise days coming. So,
dude, I mean, that guy who attacked Rand Paul was like, I don't know, 5 or 6 years ago. People are still like, yeah, he didn't go far enough. Like, you know what I mean? This has been curated.
Right. Yeah, it's absurd. But as we all know, so there's, on a slightly lighter note, there are people in the media right now that are talking about libertarians, and
I love it.
They're giving us some airtime. Now, the airtime, of course, stuff like Ben Shapiro and this guy whose name I don't remember, saying this.
Libertarianism has nothing to say about what it is we do in that world that's unshackled from government restraint. Great,
Right.
let's say we snap our fingers and we got there.
Right.
Okay, what do we do as human beings now?
Right. That's right.
Maybe the Torah has something to say about that. Maybe the Bhagavad Gita has something to say about that. Okay, maybe the Bible has something to say about that. But libertarianism has nothing to say about that.
That's right.
And as a human being, as a citizen.
Did you watch all this, Dave? Because we're definitely not going to watch the whole fucking thing.
I heard Dave Smith talk a little bit about it on his most recent podcast. But.
Yeah. There's some things, like, we're not going to do deep breakdowns, but we are going to talk about this and the Alex Jones one briefly, because it's interesting. It seems interesting to me that they're choosing now to start complaining about libertarians, like, on, and their accusations, like, so the accusation here, to my understanding, is basically like, once you get libertarian utopia, then what? It doesn't tell you how to live your life. Libertarians don't talk about, like, morals and being good people and living your life respectfully. I mean, they do have the non-aggression principle. That's a fair start, I'd say. But and just like, he's like, well, maybe the Bible says it, maybe the Torah says it, maybe this and that says it, but not the Libertarian Party. It's like, so does the Republican Party, like, are you guys pushing for mandated religions like you pretend not to?
They want to tell you what to do.
Right. Yeah.
Right.
Like, how can you pretend like you're... I mean, I am pro-life, and I agree with conservatives on a lot of, like, moral things, for sure. But they pretend like it has nothing to do with religion. It's just on, like, basically libertarian principles of not hurting people that they push for these things, for the most part. And then you see stuff like this. It's like, well, that what you're saying is you want to mandate your morality. Like, if you had the argument against abortion, I mean, it is kind of mandating your morality, because it's like, I don't want to hurt people, and I think it's killing people, so that's some sort of mandated morality. But I don't know. What do you think about this, Dave?
Yeah, he says at some point in this that conservatives, opposed to libertarians, they believe that liberty is important as it pertains to their ends.
Right.
Like if it's good for conservative values, then awesome. If it's not, then it's not a virtue. And this
It's
wasn't
like
from the
Abraham Lincoln saying, "I don't give a shit if the slaves are free or not. I want to preserve the Union." That's basically what they're saying.
This was not from Dave's most recent episode. This was from years ago, but it stuck with me, and I quote it all the time because sometimes libertarians forget that it's just a legal philosophy. It might be like the groundwork, but he said, and I'm probably paraphrasing a little bit, but this is pretty close. He said, libertarianism is beautiful in its simplicity, but it doesn't tell you how to treat your girlfriend other than don't hit her. You know what I'm saying? Like there's so much more on top of the non-aggression principle, property rights, don't hurt people, take their stuff, about life. Like, yeah, we don't take a position on, whether or not you should go to church or whether or not you should take, civic duty and all these things that like conservatives are obsessed with. Yeah, he's wrong again.
And even outside of that, like even if there isn't something in libertarian principles that says this is A, B, and C, exactly how you're supposed to live your life as a human being, I mean, it's kind of the opposite of that because it says you are the best person to determine how to live your life, and we want to give you the ability to decide for yourself instead of having a parent do it for you. But even outside of that, the point that I was going to make is completely lost now because I lost it.
I'm going to roll another one for you, Cheech.
So I don't know. Let's just watch a little bit more. Maybe it'll jog my memory.
Yeah, please.
As an agent in the world, as a thinking person, as a person who aspires to be a moral person, I care about the answers to those questions in a way that a libertarian is not necessarily saying the wrong answer or the right answer. There's just silence on that question.
Oh, I get it. I remember what I was going to say. Even outside of that, it's not like libertarians are, they say here that libertarians are silent on these matters. What do? Libertarians are just silent. Like, we're all just like non-aggression principle, period. Like, no discussion. Like, we're not sitting around philosophizing with our heads up our own asses. Like, to a fault, we spend our time telling people these things. And yeah, there's the debate over like the libertarian response to this or the libertarian response to that, but it's not like we don't have people like Dave Smith or even Spike Cohen or myself or you or whatever talking about real life things and maybe, being real about how people should live their life. Like there's plenty of libertarians who, and I would say probably the vast majority of libertarians that want legalized prostitution or legalized drugs aren't going to be encouraging people to do these things. I know there are some that are going to be encouraging all those things. They're just saying, hey, I don't think people the throwing them in a rape cage is the answer to these problems. And pretending like we're just I mean, to some extent they have a point in that a lot of us do just get caught up in the philosophy and don't actually think about real life things. We're just all trying to be the best libertarian in our words, and there's a lot of those people, sure. But even those people, I would imagine in their daily life, they have no problem telling somebody what they think about whether something is right and wrong. What do you think?
Yeah, man. I think that I'll tell you what, this is what I thought from the beginning of this video. When I hear these guys talk, I don't know about you, man, but I'm pretty sure I'm like a guy of average intelligence. Like I can know pretty quickly if I'm like not the smartest guy in the room, or if I am, you know what I mean? So I figure I'm probably right somewhere there in the middle. And these guys they strike me as people who are trying to sound smart, like trying to sound like they really know it. They have the answer to this thing that everybody's been talking about. And here's the answer over here. It's fucking Christian nationalism, everybody. It's weird. I have to tell you that.
It's been going great so far.
Yeah, it's actually really bizarre. And you can kind of like sense the grift, the act. Like they have to, like you said, man, it's cool that we're talking about this because they have to come in and they have to try and discredit. That's what it feels like a discrediting campaign.
Yeah. You know what's funny?
Liberty's not good for remember, this is fucking Ben Shapiro shat on Ron Paul big time. You know what I mean? I don't let that shit go. Sorry, go ahead.
Yeah. It's funny. Like if you talk to Republicans, like I live in the middle of podunk nowhere, and I like and am friends with and respect a lot of conservative Republicans. I have no problem with that.
Mm-hmm.
But when you ask them, typically, and I don't want to generalize like Ben Shapiro is here, but when you ask them typically like why they vote just R down the bill, a lot of them, their main issue is abortion. And I always said, well, you're voting for it and it's not changing. Nobody, like Bush, no, not Obama, Bush, like every Republican that has ever run, Mitt Romney, everybody running on, anti-abortion stuff. It's like, that's fine. If you want that, that's great. But why isn't it changing no matter how many times they get into office? And the very strangely ironic thing is the first time that we've seen any, progress in the, the rollback of abortion, it was under Biden. Like, you voted for all these people, Trump, Bush, Romney, everybody, McCain. You voted for them for abortion. They didn't do it. And I know that Joe Biden didn't really do it, but that should shine a little bit of a light on maybe you should think beyond that one single issue that isn't going to change, because it wasn't them that was going to change it to begin with, apparently.
Yeah. Yeah, I'm going to steal this. I steal all my stuff from my favorite podcasters. But Monica.
Me too. That's my whole show.
Right. I mean, this is something that she always says, and she's dead on. It's like, if you're worried about gun control, it's going to happen. Like bump stocks happened under Trump.
Yeah.
If you're worried about Sharia law coming to America and people having to wear masks and all these things, it's like, oh yeah, the church getting closed. When did that happen? That happened under a Republican president.
Yep.
All that stuff. And now
Trump,
you can
no
say
less.
the same for the right. And it's the same way from the left. Obama was the guy who destroyed the anti-war left. It'll come from your own team and disintegrate within.
Absolutely. All right. We're spending too much time on these schmucks already, but here's the guy that I've always trusted so much.
We're
Alex
on the
Jones.
rocks. Me and him are on the rocks right now.
Dave, I think you and I have probably had pushback against each other on the Alex Jones being controlled op issue in the past. You stand in any different position these days?
I'm still where I'm at. It would be so. He's tied to Trump the way that I see it. If the Trump deception is a fraud, if he's not really fighting the deep state, but he's part of the thing, then Alex Jones probably is too. I believe that's like his crowd is the reason that he won in 2016.
Yeah.
They hijacked
the shadow government.
Or the shadow government. But I'm telling you, those guys from Cambridge Analytica, right. They followed the Ron Paul revolution, said this is the populist message you need to tap into. If you can do that while maybe, helping the World Economic Forum along and maybe, going easy on the military industrial complex, it's a winning ticket.
Yeah.
You could do it. But Alex Jones, man, I don't know. Yeah. How can you be so, he said in this very interview, he's like, oh, he made some missteps with Project Warp Speed. It's like, bro, he sold the program. It's like,
right.
Yeah,
missteps. He made very intentional steps with Project Warp Speed.
He's pig-headed. It's like, bro, is he pig-headed? Like, if he was pig-headed, he would have went against John Bolton.
And Alex Jones calling anybody pig-headed is just a little bit laughable. But here's what he had to say about libertarians. That's all we're going to play here.
The Libertarian Party is a cancer. In fact, I'm ashamed I was ever sucked in by it, but it was a different political landscape. I was the same. I'm more of a right-winger. I'm pro-gun, I'm pro-life, but I'm pro-free speech, and I'm anti-war. I didn't like George W. Bush.
Well, if you're anti-war, you might not be a Republican. I'm sorry. Because they're not that anti-war.
People. So I'm like, I don't like John McCain, so I'm not going to vote for John McCain or Barack Obama. And I went and protested Obama at the DNC and McCain at the RNC, and almost got arrested at both. And I was trying to I'm a populist, I'm about ideas, transcend left-right paradigm. And then Obama got in and went against everything he said, and I wasn't naive, I knew it was bad, but he was so bad with racial division and so bad, with putting horrible judges in. I went, okay, obviously I couldn't vote for McCain, but McCain was just a filler. This was all rigged. Now we're in trouble. And
there he is again. It's all rigged until his guy gets in. Then it's not rigged anymore. It just seemed like, and that was, as I've said a million times on the show, that was where I kind of fell off Alex Jones. You can't keep saying it's rigged, and then play the same game as every other fucking politician. When your guy gets in, it's suddenly not rigged anymore. Like, you're not any different than Hillary Clinton in that vein. I'm sorry.
100%.
comes in Trump, and they're all against him, and he goes for the borders, and he goes for better trade deals, and he stands up on a lot of things. Bad move, I think, with his warp speed, but he's pig-headed, whatever. And so now they're in full panic mode because they understand that the right wing in America.
Notice how he says very little about libertarians or libertarianism. Just from my takeaway, he's mad that we took votes from Donald Trump. Yeah. Okay. How does that make you different than every fucking or not even Republican, every politician that has ever politicianed, or every, cult follower / leader who's, sucked into a politician? You're the same. Everybody that disagrees with you is the enemy who's taking votes away from your guy.
Yeah. And dude, honestly, part of me, and I feel like this way too much, like, stuck between the Lolberts and like the Tho Bishops of the world. It's like, I don't agree with either of these people. But I do have somewhat of an amount of like understanding for the guy. Because if he is not aware that we just had the fucking 5-year effort to take over the party, like I was calling the party cancer for years. It was an embarrassment. It was awful. But, he knows Ron Paul. He's had, he knows the libertarian world, libertarianism. So like he should maybe have someone around him that like maybe could have let him know. Like, they're trying something different. I don't know.
I don't buy that. I gotta be honest. It's been long enough. He's paying attention. He wants to know what's going on with, I don't know. Are we really that minuscule to Alex Jones, the guy who like pretended to be a libertarian for so long that when we get he's taken over by the Ron Paul movement that he's just like, oh, I didn't notice. And if he finds out and takes this back, fine. But it's very weak arguments at this point of just like, I don't even know. I don't even really understand what his point was other than we're a cancer.
Yeah, he was very specific about that. I'll give him a little bit of a break. And, he's better than Steven Crowder, who obviously doesn't understand shit. And, he's always been just a Republican. So they're just kind of coming around. Alex Jones has been right about, I'll still say that. Alex Jones is right about most stuff over the past 20 years. I
think Steven Crowder is right on a lot too. And I enjoy watching his show even. I have no problem with that. But
he's right. He's right now. And like for maybe 2017 on.
Right.
And he gives you that same kind of like sugar rush that Ben Shapiro does when they own the libs. They can go to any college campus and make any 19-year-old fucking non-binary a-hole look like an idiot.
Yep.
And that's great. That's good red meat, and I like it, and it feels good. Little Schadenfreude there. But it's not the Lovolution. It's not the same thing.
Right.
Yeah,
I don't know. I'm fine with everybody and hold all these people at a safe distance to where I'm like, prove me wrong. But when you do stuff like this, or like, I don't know, the Owen Benjamin, Steven Crowder situation, stuff like that just seems a little off and stuff. I'm just like, all right, holding you at a slightly farther distance right now. And
do we think that Owen Benjamin is an inside job?
I don't, personally.
Oh, okay. I was just checking.
I mean, Owen Benjamin was Steven Crowder's like wingman for a couple months, and then he got axed really fast. Yeah,
they let him go real quick. Yeah,
when he was talking about all the moon stuff and the people in small hats stuff. Which I understand. There's marketing and there's issues there. I don't know, but not a lot of not a lot of transparency. Not a lot of talking about it. Maybe that's just me. Maybe I haven't dug deep enough. But who cares about these people? All that matters is they're talking about us. Thank you for talking about us. We might be a cancer. That's probably true. But hey, if we're all dying anyway, what's a little cancer amongst friends?
Just like Donald Trump. I don't care if you're talking good about me, talking bad about me, as long as you're talking about me.
I mean, from somebody like Alex Jones, who's way more like fear porn, doom and gloom than I am, to be like, oh, these guys are a cancer. It's like, all right, well, aren't we all dying? Like, I don't know. There's like the AOCs and Bernie Sanderses who say that we're going to die any day now from climate change. Then you've got Alex Jones on the other side who's saying we're going to die any day now from the AOCs and Bernie Sanderses. Like, it's all the same thing at some point. And hey, if we're all screwed, why not laugh and be a cancer? So speaking of cancer, I think we might be okay though, because Dave and I might get a chance to go to the moon. Did you hear about this new initiative from Joe Biden?
What?
Yeah.
Bro, no.
He's sending cancer to the moon.
Oh man,
cancer moonshot. Now he gave this big long speech about how he's this is his moonshot initiative, which is playing off of Kennedy's 10-year thing where he said he's going to get a man to the moon in 10 years, and then he died mysteriously. We still don't know why. And then right at the end of the 10 years, we put a man on the moon, allegedly. Now, we're going to cure cancer within 10 years, I believe is Joe Biden's goal. And that has nothing to do with why I'm bringing this up. That was just the speech that he was giving. He's been saying since he started running, he keeps just slipping it in there that he's going to cure cancer. Just a throwaway side tangent. We're going to kill the MAGA Republicans. We're going to cure cancer. And then I'm going to be president or something. I don't know. Maybe in that order. But cancer. I don't know why, but something smells fishy to me.
You know what it is, dude? It's the fact that you know that he won't be around in 10 years.
Right.
So you know he doesn't give a shit about whatever this is about. So what's it about?
Yeah, exactly. Why are you just like these just very vague, mysterious statements like all cancer, all types of cancer? Do we know where it comes from now all of a sudden? Like, seems like you should know that before you know how to cure it. I don't know. There's so many questions.
Superman at the UN speech. I'm going to rid our planet of all cancer.
Yep.
Watch this.
Yep. So that's not what we're talking about here, because whatever. It's something to keep an eye on for sure, like the climate change stuff. Why do they keep focusing on this? I don't trust it at all, and I think it's a mask for something. What that is, I don't know yet. But this is what happened at the end of his speech. Oh, wait. Hold up. This brings us to everyone's favorite segment.
And Corn Pop was a
Bigger big shot.
Nazi fags.
You ain't black. What a stupid son of a bitch.
That's right.
That is everyone's favorite. That's definitely my favorite.
It's another segment of Remembering Biden, because God knows he won't remember 1 second of anything we're about to watch. And in the future, for the annals of history, dear kids, this was the President of the United States in the year 2022 who was fully mentally sound and cognizant.
May God protect our troops. Thank you for listening.
For the audio listeners, he turned right, then he turned left, then he walked left, then he turned right.
Ambassador Jack, come on back up.
And then he picked up the mic and said, Ambassador Jack, come back up. Whoever that is, I don't know.
Wow.
But I feel like he might be, I don't want to get ahead of myself here, but it seems like he might be lost. And he needs Ambassador Jack to come bail him out. Let's watch. Come on, Ambassador Jack. The teleprompters are going down.
Ambassador Jack, I need you.
So he had Ambassador Jack and his wife, whoever these people are, come back out. He shook hands and kissed cheeks, and then he turns around and says, "Good job, everyone. We did it. Keep up the fight." And that's it.
What?
Yet Ambassador Jack come back up for that. Now, have you seen this yet, Dave?
No, I have not.
Okay. Now, Ambassador Jack apparently did not get he didn't get the cues of emergency red lights that this man is just trying to figure out which way to go off the fucking stage. Because let's see how many more people it takes to get him off stage. So far, we're at 2, and it's like, I'm going to walk that way, and then he's looking that way, pointing. He's not sure. Ambassador Jack doesn't have a fucking clue. Send in reinforcements. Excuse me, sir, you need to walk off stage that way. And then, a minute and 30 seconds in, the President of the United States exited the stage as was planned the entire time.
And he did it with such confidence.
Right.
When he finally did it.
Right.
Like this is, look, this is
nailed
easy.
it.
Whoever said this was hard? Nobody, because I just did it.
I killed those steps. Fucking killed him.
Yep.
Yeah. Oh my gosh. It's painful.
Yeah.
Because I don't know. I do I try to avoid. I know right-wing people will attack Biden in the same way the left-wing people attack Trump. And during the Trump administration, I was like, he's just walking down that slippery ramp carefully. He's not in any physical duress. This is different though. It's getting harder and harder to be giving the benefit of the doubt on anything this guy does. Not that I'm that nice to him to begin with, I'll be honest, but I at least look at this and I'm like, Is there any way that this isn't Joe Biden getting lost on stage and not knowing which way he's supposed to go off? And there just isn't. There was too many opportunities and pointing and gesturing and asking the people, like, is that way, is that way? And they're just like, I don't know. And then somebody comes up and says, you go that way, sir. I don't know. Just get off the stage. Just walk off the stage in either direction. You are the president. They will take care of it. It will be fine. You have Secret Service there to intercept you, I would imagine, at either exit. So just go. Please stop.
It's so sad, dude. And I feel like there's a part of this that just, it's so intentional to like cause cringe in your soul, cause embarrassment, like national embarrassment. If there is such a thing, you know, like this is the guy to kind of just like really, I don't know. Again, the pendulum will swing back because they piss me off so much. And I've never voted Republican.
Right.
I just think to myself, like, what are these people thinking? Like around where you live? What are these? They got to be driven insane. I live in Joe Biden's home state. Nobody likes Joe Biden here.
Really?
It's an embarrassment for everyone. So I'm thinking that like when that thing finally comes back around, and I'm not saying when or whatever, but the same thing is true that when Trump won, like the conservatives, the MAGA wing, whatever, Republicans, they have all the cops, they have all the military, they have all the bikers and just whatever, like the tough men.
Right.
And that will, like, I feel like they're like a sleeping giant, right? Like they're chill and they've been chill. And but you're doing some of the libs of TikTok shit. If you don't fucking knock this off, you're gonna fucking trigger these people.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? I can't even take it. It's fucking driving me nuts.
Yeah.
And I find myself, you know, culturally, like whatever, I can mix it up with anybody. If I was, you know, an evangelical in the middle of this country, they got to just be like, I don't know, man. This is too much.
I have a feeling there's a lot of them and a lot of people that I know who voted for Biden and are like, well, but we had to get Trump out of there. And they're silently like, what the hell is this shit? And I mean, for the most part, I think a lot of people don't pay attention to this stuff, and good on them to some extent. You don't necessarily need to know every time our president gets lost on stage. Just know our president is getting lost on stage, and that's me trying to be kind of fair and give the benefit of the doubt, and not being able to come up with any explanation for this. And to prove it, we've got some more clips. You want to watch some more Biden clips, Dave?
Hell yeah, bro.
All right. Because the Honorable President Joseph Robinette Biden also went on 60 Minutes this week. 60 Minutes. Now, this is the first interview that Biden has done since, I don't know when. It's been a long, long, long time. But it was like a big deal because this was like his first interview. And it's very apparent that they cut this up. This isn't just play it straight through. This is 60 Minutes. It's not a live conversation, which means that this was approved for release by the White House, guaranteed. They saw the final edit. They saw all the footage, I'm sure. They decided this is what we should put out. And here's what happened.
Mr. President, you are the oldest president ever.
Pretty good shape, huh?
Which leads to my next question. You are more aware of this than anyone. Some people ask whether you are fit for the job. And when you hear that, I wonder what you think.
Watch me. I mean, honest to God, that's all I think. Watch me. If you think I don't have the energy level or the mental acuity, then that's one thing. It's another thing of just watch and keep my schedule, do what I'm doing. I think that I don't, when I sit down with our NATO allies and keep them together, I don't have them saying, "Wait a minute, how old are you? What did they say?"
When asked about his mental acuity and whether or not he was mentally sound, Joe Biden rambled for 2 minutes about, I'm not entirely sure what. First off, watch me and keep my schedule is the best interpretation that I have there. I'm not sure what keep my schedule means. If he's saying that everybody should keep the same schedule as the president or they should pay attention to what he's doing. I mean, we are paying attention to all that you're doing, and that's giving us more concern than it is reassurance in your cognizance.
My day's jam packed, Jack.
Gotta get up. Gotta eat my pudding. Gotta go downstairs and get my diapers on.
You know, I mean, it's a matter.
Let's see you keep up with this regimen of 25 pills in the morning to get you out of bed, and then another 35 in the afternoon before each press conference. It's exhausting. I'm pissing blood, yo.
Matter of, you know, that old expression, the proof of the pudding's in the eating. I mean, I respect the fact that.
Okay.
The proof of the pudding is in the eating. Holy shit.
Now.
He actually talked about pudding, bro. Shit.
So a lot of people came out immediately and they were like, no, the phrase is the proof is in the pudding, which is the much more commonly used expression. But if you look back, apparently, in ancient times, they did say the proof of the pudding is in the eating, and that's where it originates from. But
you got to go back to the old English dictionary, bro. Come on.
When you're asked, like, are you too old for this? And you ramble and mumble and then say, like, no more malarkey or something that children today have words that they've never heard uttered before because they're such old expressions that nobody even understands what you're saying.
Pony soldier.
Yes. Or just make up quotes if you feel like it. But to insult your supporters, that's fine too. Wow. Oh man, this is how he makes himself look young, I suppose.
People would say, you know, you're old, but I think it relates to how much energy you have and whether or not the job you're doing is one consistent with what any person of any age would be able to do.
What?
How would you say your mental focus is?
Oh, it's focused. I haven't, look, I have trouble even.
I just like that he has to pause in the middle of their look. Like in the question of how is your mental focus, it's focused. Right. What?
Let's go ride bikes.
Now, some people have said that it seems like it was even cut there. Like that wasn't the question he was answering because that answer doesn't make any sense to that question. Even giving full benefit of the doubt, how is your mental focus? Oh, it's focused. My mental focus is focused. Either that doesn't make any sense, or they cut something even stupider and put that in there to make it sound a little bit sensical.
Mentioning, even saying to myself, my own head, the number of years. I no more think of myself as being as old as I am than fly. I mean, it's just not, I haven't observed anything in terms of, there's not things I don't do now that I did before, whether it's physical or mental or anything else.
He's in real time. He's remembering pieces of talking points.
Yeah,
that's what it.
Exactly.
I don't do anything that I used to do that I do. I mean, I'll do it.
It's like in the movie Signs, where the wife is like pinned to the tree and she's dying, and he thinks that she was just having these flashbacks of snapshots of moments that she experienced in her life, and she's just making nonsense. I mean, in that movie, it did pay off in the end because it made sense. I feel like we're watching Joe Biden dying and having just flashes of memories from experiences in his life. And he's like, then
fly.
Like,
just
what does this even mean?
Even saying to myself, my own head, the number of years. I no more think of myself as being as old as I am than fly.
I no more think of myself as being as old as I am than fly.
Amazing.
What does that mean? No more than he flies, no more than he thinks of himself as being hip and fly, or he thinks he's a fly.
Life can pass you by, like, it all depends on your perspective, man.
Yeah.
Fly. You getting deep, Joe?
I don't know. Like, the fact that we have no idea is the problem. Like, it doesn't really matter what he was trying to say. The fact that he was asked about his mental cognizance and the pieced together version of his answer to that makes no fucking sense. That is a little bit concerning.
You're doing great, Joe. Dude, but like you said, like they pieced this together. They could have just bagged it and said, no, there's nothing this can go out. 60 Minutes is a, deep state front show. So, and has been for probably 4 or 5 decades. So yeah, the White House was probably aware of it. But it's an interesting time, right? Because he just said, oh, COVID's over, and the White House was like, no, it's not. And
Hey, don't get ahead of us. Don't get ahead of us.
Sorry, are we talking about that?
That's next.
I just
That's
mean,
next.
yes,
Jeez.
this is obviously what are they trying to lay the ground of, like, when they get rid of him in 24? That's probably what they're doing.
Yeah, and you bring up the shadow government thing. There is a clip that I didn't pull where he's saying that, yes, if China invades Taiwan, we will absolutely support Taiwan. He says it multiple times. Even when questioned on it, he's like, yep, we're doing it. We're doing it. And the White House is like, we're not doing it.
Right.
Or, no, that was in one of the speeches. Was that in this interview? I don't remember. How do these things get approved for airtime? I'm confused. Maybe I'm wrong. Maybe the White House didn't. Maybe they didn't see this. Maybe it wasn't their choice. Hector Roos, sending you back to Venezuela. Tune in after the ads. Hang in there. Bye. Yeah, I don't know. I don't know if this was approved by the White House. I would imagine so, for it to be even as edited as it is. But yeah, they keep disagreeing with him, and they keep saying, like, they're like, no, we're not going to defend Taiwan, because they get to decide. Whoever this they is. I mean, I'm starting to sound a little bit like a conspiracy theorist. Who is the they? Who is putting out the White House announcement saying the president is not saying he's not thinking clearly, apparently. He's mentally cognizant, but he keeps saying things that disagree with what we told him to say.
I didn't watch. I've only seen a couple clips of that. I'm sure they talk about a host of issues. But, like, yeah, that's interesting that out of all the things you could talk about, inflation, Ukraine, like Afghanistan, like this guy who's been on that show for, since I'm a little baby, is like, so, Mr. President, people have said that you're the oldest president. What do you think about that?
Right.
It's just, that's really bizarre.
Yeah. And, just the softball questions that they give him, like, do you think you're stupid? No, I don't think I'm stupid. What?
Moving on, then.
Oh, well, thank you for saying that, Mr. President. Next question.
Cleared it up. Yeah.
Wow. I mean, it's like to a laughable point where it's like they have to include some of these questions as much as they don't want to, because I feel like it would be just way too obvious if they weren't asking about his mental cognizance or age, when that is like what every single person on the left and right is concerned about right now.
Right.
Yeah. Anyway, back to Dave's spoiler alert. Here's what he said about COVID.
Mr. President, first Detroit Auto Show in 3 years.
Yeah.
Is the pandemic
over? The pandemic is over. We still have a problem with COVID. We're still doing a lot of work on it. But the pandemic is over. If you notice, no one's wearing masks. Everybody seems to be in pretty good shape. And so I think it's changing, and I think this is...
So people wearing masks around you, that's what determines whether that COVID's over?
It's over.
If you notice, nobody gives a shit, so it's over. Like, yeah, that's how it always worked, technically. But this does raise a lot of questions, like, why are the mandates still in place? Why are we mailing out ballots? Why are we... still implementing any precautionary measures at all? If the president of the United States says it's over.
My governor just signed the emergency order for another whatever it is. I'm sure your governor probably did too.
Oh, I'm sure.
So it'll go probably through election season so that they can. I don't know about anywhere else, but Delaware just found the mail-in stuff to be against our state constitution.
Yeah.
But the only thing that would allow that is an emergency order.
Yeah.
Right? Oh, sorry. We would, follow the Constitution, but there's this,
this emergency order,
Yeah, this is emergency. Yeah.
Everything's going to shit, guys. I don't know if you noticed that COVID is just raging across the country, and but it's not. It's not. And I feel like it's safe to say now COVID is over because the president said it, and so that makes it true. I mean, all the other things that he said, those were 100% true too. So this means it's true, and
Nazi fags.
They need to get their act together and stop fear-mongering or something. I don't know. So Hector was trying to get in here. Hector, if you want to hop back in, we can jump to the DeSantis stuff now or shortly if you'd like, and do that. While we wait on him, we'll play a little bit of Rand Paul bitch-slapping Dr. Fauci, because that's a nice segue out of the pandemic being over. This happened right before the pandemic was over, like a couple days before the pandemic was over. Also, thank you, pandemic, for deciding to be over right before the midterms. That is awfully nice of you. I mean, I would have taken it sooner, but I'll take what I can get, I suppose. Here's Rand Paul and Dr. Fauci, hopefully in their last interaction.
But she's had the flu for 14 days. Should she get a flu shot?
Well, no. If she got the flu for 14 days, she's as protected as anybody can be, because the best vaccination is to get infected yourself.
And
so
she should not get it?
If she really has the flu, she definitely doesn't need a flu vaccine. If she really has the flu,
she should not get it again.
No, she doesn't need it, because it's the most potent vaccination is getting infected yourself.
Scathing.
This is an ongoing question.
Rand agrees.
You know, we've had ever-evolving opinions from you, Dr. Fauci. Currently, antibody surveys show that 80% of children, approximately 80% of children, have had COVID, and yet there are no guidelines coming from you or anybody in the government to take into account their naturally acquired immunity. You seemed quite certain of yourself in 2004, but in 2022, there's a lot less certainty. One of the things that we also know after looking at this for 2 to 3 years is that the mortality from COVID is very similar, if not less, than influenza. So when we look at this, we wonder, you know, why you seem to really embrace basic immunology back in 2004 and why you seem to reject it now.
Well, I don't reject basic immunology, Senator. And I have never denied that there is importance of the protection following infection. However, as we have said many times, and as has been validated by the authorization by the FDA through their committee and the recommendation by the CDC through their committee, that a
I just can't even listen to this guy anymore. I'm sorry.
It's so bad.
Go watch it. Rand Paul bitch slaps him down, and it's beautiful. And COVID's over, so it's kind of outdated to even be talking about this anymore. It's just enjoyable to watch Fauci's last days and just Rand kicking him on his way out the door. I mean, it's again, as always, it's not going to amount to anything that it should amount to, probably, but at the very least, Rand got the information out there, so go watch that. Maybe I'll put the link down below or something. But I'm mostly cutting that off because Hector is here, and we're going to play some ads, and then we're going to talk to Hector about some Venezuelans, some evil anti-libertarian shenanigans that DeSantis pulled, and other stuff right after this. We live in it's time for us to upgrade our tinfoil hats. Operation Tinfoil is a freedom-focused small business and trusted sponsor of this show. Their super comfortable new line of beanies and baseball caps will not only crown your skull in style, but each of these dome defenders is lined with a silver mesh that blocks up to 99% of EMF radiation from cell phone towers, Wi-Fi, Bluetooth, and yes, even 5G. We don't know what EMF radiation does to the brain long term, but neither do they, so don't be their guinea pig and don't wait around to find out. Get your stylish tinfoil hat of the future today at gettinfoil.com. Use the promo code SYSTEM for $10 off your order. Again, that's gettinfoil.com. Use the promo code SYSTEM for $10 off your order. Today's show is sponsored by Libertarian conspiratorial fantasy author Jack Casey. Whether you're looking for a 3-book fantasy sci-fi epic of love, death, and dystopian civil war like the Royal Green series, or just looking for a quick, dark, comedic, cultural commentary tale about a transsexual slayer of COVID regime vampires, like his latest book, WVW, Jack Casey Books will keep you adequately entertained and pondering the universe to your weird little heart's content. He's the Ayn Rand meets Stephanie Meyer meets somebody who actually writes entertaining books with his own unique little downer-esque flair. Find out more about Jack Casey Books at the aptly named jackcaseybooks.com. Once again, that is jackcaseybooks.com. And we're back. And ladies and gentlemen, I would like to welcome to the show the one and only, the anti-DeSantis, the anti-Santis himself, Mr. Hector. Hector, hey.
What's up?
What's up, man? How's it going?
Good. Looking a little fuzzy.
Yeah, that's all right. It's all right. Maybe if you run a campaign someday or something, you'll get your funds together to get a nice webcam or something.
Yeah, right.
No, Hector, I've never spoken to you. This is completely unplanned and unprepared. You drop into my feed quite often, so I really appreciate you. And you're running against DeSantis right now. And I completely forgot about that until we were about to start this episode. And so I hit you up to see if you wanted to jump in and be the voice of probably opposition to what Dave and I are most likely to say on this topic. But tell people about you a little bit and, yeah, who you are, what you're doing.
I'm generation one of the Ron Paul Revolution. You know, I was involved since 2007 in those campaigns, so I definitely heard the call, and I had to answer when everybody said let's hop into the Libertarian Party and make this thing happen again.
Yeah.
So that's what I did, and then I realized that we had to take some stands in Florida about what a libertarian actually means, because you had too many people actually referring to Ron DeSantis as a libertarian.
Sure.
Even among libertarians. So that was like a no-go. There had to be a challenge, and we actually hadn't had a challenger, even a statewide candidate, for over 6 years. So that's up. So I decided to stand up. I'm also happy to be joined by Dennis Missico, who's running for U.S. Senate as well in Florida, and of course my running mate for lieutenant governor is Jerry Rohrabaugh right up here. You can see his name.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So and professionally, I've been, like I said, been active in politics since 2007. I've helped over probably closer to 100 campaigns since then, and I found out the hard way what government's about by working inside and on the outside. So
yeah,
I come with a little bit of experience these days.
So you got back into the Libertarian Party with the takeover stuff. Are you a Mises Caucus guy?
Yeah, I am state organizer for the Mises Caucus in Florida.
Right on.
And you have a lot of fans in Florida, by the way.
Awesome. I'll be there sometime, maybe soon. Not that soon. Next time soon.
To be announced.
That's right. TBA. Now, Hector, what? So you said that there were some issues with Ron DeSantis, and I understand that. Like, it's kind of the same scenario, I'm sure, on your local level as people like us who are like, yeah, Trump does some good shit, but still not good enough, and here's the issues. Can you break down kind of what your main problems were with DeSantis that pushed you into this?
So Ron DeSantis, where do I start? People say he was good on COVID. I think it was opposite. People have been saying that he never locked down the state. He actually not only locked down the state, but kept the state in a state of emergency for 475 days. He basically only completely reopened the state legally, right, like 2 weeks before California did. So the meanwhile, you had basically Florida opened in some places and just as locked down as other places for months. And we're still dealing with mandates, both vaccine and mask mandates in different places all through this year. So it has there have been a lot of freedoms in Florida, yeah, and then there's been some that have been subjected to not so much freedom. And of course, it goes to show that you had a career politician who was involved in the war on terror and basically illegal torture camps, right, in Guantanamo. So that's what we're dealing with here. Everyone should know, if everybody remembers, that was his claim to fame before he got into Congress, that he worked in Guantanamo and the torture camp there.
I didn't know. And that's the thing with DeSantis. I feel like there's a lot of libertarians that are going along just because he's the least awful on the COVID stuff, and sounds like he was still pretty reasonably not great on the COVID stuff. But like, it seems like before that and in between that and some of these new shenanigans, nobody really cares like any of the things that his politics are, because I don't know. I just hear the things that hit the mainstream media as everybody else does because I'm not in Florida.
Yeah, he's good at dunking the libs, so that's what people like him, right?
Yeah, right. So, yeah, and I was down in Florida during COVID on the Jorgensen campaign with Spike, and it was like, I don't know. We were in Orlando. I'm sure there are different areas in the bigger cities probably were more locked down, just like everywhere else. But yeah, it was certainly still fairly tight for Florida. For that to be his claim to fame, it's interesting. How, like, dig into that a little bit more on, like, what was his stance on the COVID stuff actually when it was happening, other than him being against
that's
whoever
exactly
the main thing was?
Exactly what you saw. There were the big cities were still had a lot of lockdowns in the form of curfews and in the form of restricted, what business could be open, what was essential, what wasn't. So I was down in Miami when I welcomed the campaign bus. Did you come all the way down to Miami as the videographer?
Yeah.
Okay, so we didn't really know each other back then, but I was involved with the setup of Spike coming down with the bus, and the whole story that our venue got locked down because of a noise complaint.
Right.
The music was too loud after hours. After
The
everything was
dance
closed.
party in the street, is that what you're talking about?
That's right.
Yes, that's one of my favorite days of the entire campaign. It was beautiful.
Yeah, it was a great speech by Spike. But that was the point, right? We're at basically in October, and we're still talking about this stuff of that year. So there's some places. That was one example. I mean, obviously the medical tyranny situation or bodily autonomy issues were still present. So people, you couldn't, for as much as we talk about freedom and freedom of what medical treatment you wanted to, in terms of receiving to treat COVID, there were still some issues there where the hospitals, the public hospital systems that were tied to the 8 urban areas, they were basically mandating everybody to get vaxxed no matter what your condition was, and even if you asked for exemptions, they just said, "Oh, okay, well then we won't work with you anymore," right? So that affected at least half the population of Florida, if you think about it. And the worst example I give is Ron DeSantis giving press conferences about medical freedom, and then on the street in a public hospital you have a teacher fighting for her life, trying to get released from the hospital into the care of a physician who wants to treat her the way that they've agreed that she should be treated medically, and they had to take it to court. And Ron DeSantis.
You're frozen.
Oh no.
Boo. Hector, are you with us?
It's like the two sides of the story for that happened in Florida.
I think we missed most of that last paragraph, but you're back. Yeah, I get the point of it, and yeah, I would happily have you on sometime just to dig into the DeSantis stuff.
Sure.
Right, today we're gonna talk primarily about this new thing, political stunt or act of complete and utter racism, or I don't know, brilliant thing. You decide, but we're going to get into that, and I know there's going to be a lot of feelings in the comments. Hector, you can approach this however you want. You can approach it as a political guy who's trying. You can play it safe. I know you're running a campaign and all. You don't have to get too deeply into the debate. However you want to take this, but we're mostly going to laugh at it because I think it's fucking hilarious. Now, let me bring Hector in here on this screen, if I can find him. Guest 2, 3. There we are. Probably have to move you a little bit. Yeah. So something there. Perfect. All right. So some people might not know that this is going on, and I know it's hard to believe for people like us nerds that really nerd out about this nerdy stuff. I'm sure Hector knows way more about this incident than even I do, so we'll get into some of that, but we're going to give just the basics of the story. And Dave, at any point, Hector, are you open to heckling and us chastising you for your beliefs?
Sure, absolutely.
All right,
That's why
Dave.
I'm running for office. I'm a masochist.
Dave, I'm going to put you in charge of the heckling and the hectoring, as some might say. Ayo.
Ayo.
No, it's all in good fun. But yeah, I am interested in your take, Hector. But we're gonna make jokes, and this is the main story. This is what some people still don't know.
Didn't know where they were, and community leaders didn't know they were coming. As we come on the air tonight, there is conflicting information about where they came from and who sent them here. Good evening to you. I'm David Wade.
And I'm Lisa Hughes. Florida Governor Ron DeSantis says he's responsible, but some of the migrants say they came from Texas. Chris Tanaka's with us live in studio now. And Chris, we do know they are spending the night at a church.
Correct, Lisa. The migrants have shelter after being given food and water. Now, the initial call came into the sheriff's office around 3 p.m. That's when the entire community rallied to meet the moment. However bizarre and abrupt it was.
Martha's Vineyard Community Services had 50 people sort of literally
50.
walk up to their front door.
For unsuspecting residents of Martha's Vineyard, that's when tonight's calamity began. But for the 50 men, women, and children flown there, none of whom spoke English, the trip began much earlier and much farther away.
From what we found out by talking to the people, they're
speed this up.
originally from Venezuela. They were flown here. We're not sure what plane brought them here or how they got on a plane to here. They did tell us they came from Texas.
There was no welcoming party, so the group wandered some 3.5 miles to Martha's Vineyard Community Services in Edgartown.
Immigrants who were told that they would be greeted here with a place to stay and with jobs.
We're trying to coordinate to help all of you.
The group includes some
Okay,
elderly.
so we live in the future now, so we mostly know all this. But for the quick breakdown, DeSantis flew a plane full of 50 immigrants into Martha's Vineyard and said, "Here you go." The obvious point to that being, you guys are pushing for these open immigration policies that don't affect you guys up there in Martha's Vineyard, your safe little high tower. And so here you go. We don't have room for these people. You guys do have more room for these people. You're maybe not. There's been I don't know for sure if it's a sanctuary city, but it's sanctuary like area, and they push for this type of thing. They have They have mansions, billions of dollars worth of mansions and empty rooms and all these things. They have all the supplies they could possibly need. Migrants get there, people freak out. They say, you dirty people need to leave our back porch, please, now, quickly. Within 24 hours, the National Guard was sent in, and these poor people that were attacked by Ron DeSantis were sent elsewhere. Now, we can fill this in more as we go, but that's the basics. Dave, give your side of this and fill in some of the gaps that I'm missing so far.
It definitely feels like a political stunt on DeSantis's behalf, right? So right off the bat,
definitely a political stunt.
It's
I mean, it's not like he's
stunt.
just like, this is a sanctuary city, and I'm not thinking anywhere past
and
that.
he's not solving the immigration problem for Texas or Florida by sending 50 people to Martha's Vineyard. So he's like signaling to his base that I'm the guy to do maybe certain things, right?
Yeah.
With that said, I do enjoy a good troll.
Right.
So I can appreciate what that does to the liberal mindset, how they have to work that out in their own head. And I'm really disappointed that not one bed and breakfast gave itself to those 50 people as a worker co-op to just make
kind
their
of
way
impressive, really, that big of a community. I mean, it's small little island or whatever, but it's still a big enough, rich enough community. Nobody had like a gymnasium or anything. Like nobody had a spare bedroom in their mansions.
Right.
One person, like one Democrat puts one person in a guest house and says, like probably their third guest house, and says, "See, we're helping, we're doing a thing," and that would have been way better than sending in the National Guard to kick them out immediately. Now, Hector, what do you think? What are your thoughts, man?
I agree with Dave. It was a publicity stunt. It smelled like it, looked like it. It was.
It was.
Now, I always like a good troll too, and I ended up trolling DeSantis back. But the reality was that nobody knew where these guys came from. There wasn't any preparation on the ground. They wanted basically the trolling was so aggressive though that basically you put a lot of hardship on the people that were involved. I'm talking about the immigrants themselves, not the rich people and enjoying their rich place, right? So with that said, they came they came through Mexico and to a migrant camp that is a processing center that near somewhere outside of San Antonio. They were, the story now is that there's like lawsuits based on this stuff now, is that the immigrants themselves were basically enticed. They're in a desperate situation. Yes. Actually, here's what I like to say: they couldn't find 50 desperate people in Florida to move to get on a plane, right? They had to find them on the Mexico border waiting for asylum, and they were offered hotel stays in San Antonio, food, clothing, cell phones. They were given good stuff to entice them to get on the planes, and then say, "Oh, we're going to take you now to another city in like Boston," or and then lo and behold, they land. They're told, "Okay, there's going to be somebody to meet you. Just wait around," and the plane takes off again. Yeah. And then they're in the, it's later afternoon. They don't know where they're going, but they get their phones and they track their GPS to where they're supposed to. This place is supposed to help them, and that's where we all start hearing about it in the news. Yeah. So my reaction was, I mean, it's an epic troll, but the reality is that it was also, it wasn't right humanitarian wise to treat people like that in that sense. Now I actually ended up myself suing DeSantis over the issue because the way he did it, basically he basically told the legislature, "I'm going to have this program. It's going to be only in Florida," and instead he didn't run the program at all in Florida. Nobody in Florida is even involved here, and it's completely taken over in Texas. And so it's this weird story of, okay, he just lied to the entire, 200 member legislature about what, and the public about what this money was supposed to be used for.
Sure.
And that's where I made a point to it. And ultimately, I'm a libertarian. I stand for a decentralization of the immigration process. I think it should be given back to states. And I made that point very clear that this is the way to go. We should be taking over obviously it's failed at a national level, and we need to take over it from the state level. And I say that also as a candidate for governor.
Yeah. Now, DeSantis would probably agree with you that it should be given to the states to some degree. But his state is currently getting immigrants that he's not welcoming in. So that even if you think it's for the states, like, if you were governor tomorrow, like, what would be your solution? Would you be an open border Florida, or would you just allow him to come in?
So you basically make an announcement saying we will either welcome or deny people in whichever city that gets picked, right? So if it's Miami, Miami is the only place where we're going to accept immigrants to come in. Everywhere else, you're going to be denied entry, whether it's at the seaport, the bus port, the airport. That's really how it would work. And then you could concentrate all the services in one place like that, instead of having a sieve of entry points, of multiple entry points into the state. That's basically what we have now, right? A lot of people come through Miami, where I'm at, through the airport or the seaport, or they just land on the beaches, frankly. And that's what it's been actually since the beginning of the country's founding. The states handled their own ports of entry that way.
Yeah. Now, Top Lobster's blowing up the comment section, of course he is.
I can't read his comments, but I'm wearing a shirt. That's why.
Yeah, he's getting wrapped hard today. That's right.
Maybe we should set up a debate, and Top Lobster can come on in a DeSantis mask and make it official.
That would be pretty neat.
I don't know. So let's get to DeSantis's comments, because he seems to maybe disagree. Like, as an outsider, I only see what these people are reporting on still. To some degree, you're more down there, and so is Top Lobster's in Florida too, right?
He is now.
Okay. So,
he just
fill me
called
in
you a
on
transport.
On everything. He's an immigrant. Let's watch DeSantis's follow-up to this.
By the way, just for the record, this was voluntary. All migrants were put up in hotels, given accommodations. They were fed, they were showered, they were offered haircuts, and any other services that they were needed, correct?
Yeah, not only that, they all signed consent forms to go, and then the vendor that is doing this for Florida provided them with a packet that had a map of Martha's Vineyard. It had the numbers for different services on Martha.
Like, let's break down some of these things, because either he's lying or not saying you're lying, but like you said, there's a lot of different versions of this going around. I just want to make sure, like, if you have evidence of your statements, I'm all for it. But are you saying that he's lying when he said that or when you say that they thought they were going somewhere else? If they were giving them maps of Martha's Vineyard, it seems like it would be hard to confuse that.
Right, that they were being told that they're going to go to their end arrival was going to be like Boston, right, which is closer to New York, where they all wanted to be anyway. I don't know, but at the end of the day, what ended up happening is that they didn't get delivered to their end destination. They were told, and they didn't get the promises of jobs or financial assistance.
We lost you again. Hector, are you with us, sir? Are you amongst us?
I like to call this as they like to say it was sort of like a kidnapping through fraud. They were all, yes, they volunteered, quote unquote. They signed paperwork.
Right.
They were induced by all these promises. Then when the promises don't really arrive, is that what just happened, right? It's like if you give the joke about 12 shots, if you have somebody who gets enough booze in themselves, is that still consensual? Right. So it's the same kind of thing. You give them all this free stuff. What happens?
Bro, I agree with you that they were used. But do you think that their situation is worse than the average migrant who crosses the border? Like, they did. I mean, you said they didn't get exactly where they wanted to go, New York or whatever. But I mean, you shot up right. You cleared. You didn't clear the landing, but you're pretty close. You're up north. I don't know, man. Like, it
Right.
doesn't sound like it could be worse on the border.
Is the problem that they were removed from Florida? Like, when they're just looking for a better place? Or I understand that
Sure.
Florida is a better place than Venezuela, but if they end up somewhere else, I mean, technically illegally anyway, and they get to stay there, is it as big of a, I don't know, humanitarian crisis as you're making it out to be?
Well, this has nothing to do with Florida, except Florida taxpayers pay for it. That's the only involvement here. At the end of the day, though, I love how people are arguing that we didn't do it. We didn't give enough welfare for immigrants coming here. So I'm like, which way do we want to play this? Right? Is it a good idea? Maybe. But if you really want to show that kind of charity, you should start at home, and that's kind of the idea of the sentiment of people insulting or dunking on the left wingers or liberals over there because they shipped them out on the buses as quickly as possible. But on the right wing, I'm like, well, we have the rule of law. We have this idea of providing humanitarian assistance the way that we always do historically, right? People get opportunities, they get jobs, they work and rise up from their bootstraps, right? And then this doesn't seem to be that. This is promises of, oh, we'll give you more welfare if you just come along with us and hop on this plane, and we'll take you the magic carpet ride, right? So, but that's unfair, and but that's exactly what happened.
So you're suing Ron DeSantis at the same time that you're running against Ron DeSantis?
Absolutely.
And
I think Ron DeSantis is doing way too many of these publicity stunts. It's like one a week these days. And really, there's a lot of things that he should be paying attention to as governor that he's not. And somebody has to keep him accountable. I just have to also be running for governor at the same time.
But that's a lot of resources to do both of those things.
No, I wrote the petition myself that it's going to be heard by the Supreme Court. This is not the first time that he's kind of like crossed the line and what his authority is and gone beyond that. And the Supreme Court of Florida has had to check him on occasion. So, I mean, at the end of the day, like I said, when you're politically motivated rather than actually doing the job, you're going to find yourself in the situation that Sanders is, constantly fighting battles outside of the state, and not about the welfare of Floridians or what his role of governor is, but honestly, publicity. I mean, he's running for president, not running for governor, as far as I'm concerned.
I don't disagree with you there. I don't know. This whole situation, it is, I think, politically brilliant. That doesn't mean I agree with it morally. I think these people are probably going to be fine. Not only fine, but much better off than they were a month ago. And it's hard for me to be that sympathetic. And, is it an issue of, you say the taxpayers paid for it, but the taxpayers were going to pay for them if they were allowed to stay in Florida? I mean, there's that argument. I don't know. This is not my fight. I'm not a Floridian. Thank God, y'all people are awful. Yeah, is it true that...
Sharon, what do you expect?
That's right. You're all boxed winos fighting alligators in wet heats. But is it an issue of I've heard tell that the taxpayers are paying less for these people in sending them somewhere else than they are paying in keeping them there. Is that true? And if so, where's the issue there?
I'm not really sure where I keep hearing this, and I really don't understand it. It's pretty clear that they were the whole trip altogether on a private jet cost each person $12,300. So if you want to make an economic argument,
they got a private jet. I didn't know that part of the story, dude. That's fucking awesome.
These people don't have documents.
Oh
so
my God! Somebody help these people! 1-800 humanitarian effort. Get these guys some help.
Sorry, Dave's the resident asshole, and Dave. You're getting a raise.
Yeah, that's what happened. You got on a private jet, right? If you've never been on a private jet, right?
I thought it was a coach flight.
Hook you up. Oh no, that's not a quick flight. They're the smaller jets that they clearly have to stop in 2 or 3 different places in order to get refueled, in order to make it all the way up to Massachusetts from Texas. So not just Texas, but West Texas.
Yeah,
that is the libertarian argument against it. You spent too much in fuel to get there.
Hector, would you, if you, I don't know. There's a part of you though that sees the humor in this, right? I understand that you have a campaign to run and a lawsuit and everything.
Yeah, I'm a first generation immigrant. all of my family, I have all sorts of stories of immigrating to the country, my parents included. And, these 50 immigrants are the luckiest 50 immigrants in America right now.
They hit the
'Cause
jackpot.
They hit the jackpot. Exactly.
They don't have to live on the border. They get to go wherever the National Guard shoves them.
And they're gonna pocket quite a bit out of the lawsuit that they just filed. So eventually,
Do you
so
think-
they're gonna be.
Go ahead.
Florida's gonna pay for it though. Yeah.
Sure. Do you think that lawsuit is legit? Do you think they're actually pissed off, or do you think that, the Democrats obviously coerced them in the same way that Ron DeSantis did, right? Like, you don't end up in Martha's Vineyard and become, like, no matter how lost and scared you are, with all due respect, if you're there with your family, like, assuming that they didn't lose loved ones along the way, they may have, but assuming that you're there, you're healthy and well-to-do, or, like, well-off more so than you were, are you really going to turn around and sue the guy that shoved you up higher towards your goal?
That's what lawsuits are about. It's not if they can make a claim that they felt wronged, they're going to make it. I mean, it's really just about a money grab from their perspective at this point, and not about the immigration issue. But I will tell you, it's one of the
Democrats
best
are, or
documented-
the Venezuelans are.
the Venezuelans are, of course. Regarding the libs over there living the lifestyle of the rich and famous, the point for them, they're looking at this and going, we did get punked, right? We certainly did, and now they have to live with the consequences of what does this mean, right? So for a Floridian frustrated about the high cost of living over here, I'm looking at this and going, so this is what we're going to talk about for the next 5 weeks until the election. Okay.
Yeah.
It had nothing to do with Florida, but we're paying for it.
Sure. I agree with you that it's definitely a political stunt. It's definitely a push for his campaign that you guys are paying for to some degree, but not entirely. Like, there's even, like, if he was not running right now for governor, if he was going to be done after this and he did this, it would still make sense for him to do it. I'm sure that had a lot to do with his decision-making process, but it doesn't necessarily prove that that was his goal or that taxpayer whatever funds were going towards his election.
I mean, I argue that he definitely used this predominantly to boost his national campaign, national image. And frankly,
couldn't that be said about anything positive done for political reasons?
You know what? There isn't a lot he's actually done this year for that hasn't been for his national campaign.
Okay.
And that's unfortunate. At the end of the day, he's just burned so much political capital on moving money around and on the post-COVID that he hasn't been able to get the legislature to do anything else, and he's basically given up on being an active governor of Florida.
Yeah. Gotcha. Let's hear a little bit more from your opponent here. See if there's anything else. We didn't get very far into this.
Vineyard, and then it had numbers for the overall agencies in Massachusetts that handle things involving immigration and refugees. So it was clearly voluntary, and all the other nonsense you're hearing is just not true. And why wouldn't they want to go?
Now, you said, which I've heard a lot of other people say, that yes, it was voluntary, but they didn't know where they were going. Do we have evidence of that outside of, I guess, media reporting what these people are allegedly saying?
So let's do some logical exercise here.
Sure.
You're in a bad situation, waiting for some of the courts to reach out to you, the immigration courts, to hear your asylum petition or process your paperwork. You don't have much money. You're there with your little kids, and there were children involved. And someone promises you to get you out of the hellhole. What are you going to do?
I'm going to go.
Does it immediately matter at the end of the day where you're going? Or if you understand where you're going? You've just been given hotel rooms, clothing, food, medical care, cell phones. I mean, and then promises for more, right?
But do we have evidence of these promises for more, is my question. Like,
yes.
I've heard a lot of people say these things, but I haven't seen, like, any real evidence. I'm genuinely asking, do you have evidence of these other things?
If you hear this clip, Ron DeSantis is going to talk about a brochure that talks about assistance and who can help them, and that's part of the care package, right? That they're given says, okay, well, the following organization is going to do this, this, and this for you because it says it here on this brochure. And they admit it. I mean, he admits it on this interview itself that they basically provided this brochure for them and told them that they're going to be responsible for you.
Yeah. Okay. So, I suppose that's bad. Yes. And from a humanitarian point, I don't like people being used as political pawns. But my main issue and the reason why I think this is a beautifully questionable thing to do is because these people were already being used as political pawns. Like every single person that walked over the border under Biden saying you can come over the border, and we're going to roll back everything that Trump did to close the border, telling these people that it would be fine and everybody would be welcoming to them. That was the main setup to the problem here, and that was using these people as political pawns. And now, like, shoving them off somewhere else is, I mean, you understand, it's exposing the hypocrisy and the flagrant dishonesty in their entire stance on immigration. I mean, libertarians go back and forth on open borders and not entirely open borders and closed borders and whatever, and I enjoy listening to all stances on that. I think they all have merit, but I don't know, pretending like I'm not good. Sure, he may have used them as political pawns, but then we have like NBC News. I had their thing here. Where'd it go? NBC News coming out and saying Florida Governor DeSantis sending asylum seekers to Martha's Vineyard is like me taking my trash out and just driving to different areas where I live and just throwing my trash there. Like, this is the left's take on this when they're pretending to be the ones as the arbiter or the deciders of, I don't know, all things holy and in letting everybody into the country. And you see, it exposes this. And I don't like it from either, but I feel like what Ron DeSantis is doing and using them as political pawns is much friendlier than what they're doing to use them as political pawns.
You have to understand, that's actually some disinfo there. That quote comes from a board member of a mutual aid organization that supports those refugees or immigrants in Texas. You have a board member saying that. So obviously the board itself of that organization got into some hot water over that and asked NBC to delete that. There's no other way that basically quote was misrepresented. In other words, so people have been obviously sharing that out in the internet. They've been convoluting that into something that's not. They've been again, and a lot of people saying, "Oh, they left out of Florida," when they actually left out of Texas. There's a lot of disinfo happening regarding what actually happened itself and who's saying what quotes and this or that. But the reality is that this was a great opportunity to talk about how we should fix our immigration system, our broken national immigration system. Through federalism, through the idea that states should just take over like they used to back in the day, before Ellis Island, before the progressive era took over and created this massive federal bureaucracy that's now basically has collapsed our immigration policy. I mean, but that's really where we should be at. This idea that we have to keep repeating these stories out here, and the culture war is just damaging to the fabric of our community, of our society.
Yeah. So you're saying this NBC News thing is not an NBC News post? It is what exactly? Sorry.
They're quoting a board member from a charity, a charity that is based in Texas that supports the immigrants. This isn't a politician. It's basically a hot take from a board member from this charity, which was quickly, obviously, the charity wants to stay open and keep receiving money.
Gotcha.
They want to get rid of that quote as quickly as possible because it will hurt their donations.
I see.
So we're talking about a hot take from another immigrant, basically.
Gotcha. Dave, thoughts?
Yeah, I don't know. I don't have too many more thoughts about the stunt because it's just, I don't know. The whole border situation sucks. I hear both the libertarian arguments. There's merit on both sides. We can have that all day if you want to. We can talk more about that. The stunt, no, I'm not terribly interested in that. As a Libertarian Party member, I am interested in the dynamic of running against at least a perceived lowercase L libertarian-ish governor. I mean, he's popular with conservatives at least. So they've been good on lots of important issues over the past couple years. So I'll just give you the benefit of the doubt. And I would say, like, if everything you said about him is factually accurate, and I agree with lots of it, probably Zionist, probably if he got elected, he would, if Trump couldn't stop the deep state, what's this guy going to do? Decorate?
Yeah, I don't trust the guy.
Right. Absolutely. I'm totally, like, I'll just say I'm with you on all that. But do you, like, you're a Mises Caucus member too. So I feel like I would love to be like cheering you on for whatever, city council or something that, you could absolutely win in Florida, because I find you very impressive. You're a Ron Paul guy. I just feel like the PR battle that you have is so monstrous that that's my biggest argument against running against a perceived, he's very popular with a lot of people right now. Perhaps the most popular governor in the country that's not.
So, Dave, how do you feel about Dave Smith running against Donald Trump, even though he's really popular right now?
No, this is a good thing. And you can talk about, Shane Hazel too. And, I don't buy this. It's not a spoiler thing. I don't think you're spoiling anything. I think I want to know what you think the best case scenario against run. Like, who is your constituency? Because you're not going to pull anybody from the left, dude. And
what Dave's question is why ? Period.
Well, I'm just I want to. This is all strategy because again, dude, I think you're awesome, and I'll support you no matter what. But I just think that it's.
I won't vote for you because I'm out in Florida.
Well, this is Florida, yeah. It's the New Hampshire philosophy, right? Yeah. Florida's going to do Florida, and that's the way it should be. But we're doing the show right now, so I get 2 minutes. But go ahead, yeah.
So we can talk about Delaware stories another time. But the fact of the matter is, and by the way, there's a street named after me over there, or my dad. The reality is that Florida, we're all here because we were inspired by somebody running for office to become a libertarian. That's the first and foremost. We need candidates to step up for. I mean, this is not the Mises Caucus strategy, but it is the Libertarian Party strategy to field candidates and rally people to our cause that feel the same way that we do, that are frustrated with the two parties, that don't believe the political establishment for what they say because their lies are just endless, and who are also again frustrated by publicity stuntman that that just lives on TV and national TV instead of dealing with issues in Florida. So we also have to have credibility. When we say Ron Paul was right, it's because of credibility, right? We need to actually stand up and say and be. I mean, this is a little quaint, but be Ron Paul where you're at, right? What does that mean? That doesn't mean necessarily picking the smallest battles, but it definitely does mean picking the biggest battles you can find in order to have the biggest platform to say what needs to be said. What are the solutions libertarians stand for? Because damn it, if you wait for the right wing of America or the left wing of America to define who a libertarian is, we're never going to start. We're never going to get started, ever.
Yeah, but Ron Paul was ready to support Tulsi Gabbard if she got the nomination. He was ready to settle out of court for a Democrat that would have been cool on foreign policy. So I feel like when we haven't had any victories, zero, that starting with the guy who's the most popular amongst populists in the country is a strategic blunder. I love you. It will cost money, and it will.
I agree with both of you because I'm like, I get why you would, and I also don't trust Ron DeSantis as far as I can throw him. I don't really trust him any more than Donald Trump. He's just the Obama version of Trump. He's just a little bit suaver in what he's doing.
I agree.
I mean, he's done some good things, and Donald Trump did some good things, but I don't know.
I hated
don't
that
trust
I was
these
finding
people.
myself liking what he was saying with Sean Hannity. It brought me no joy.
So, like,
None
I'm
at all.
certainly fine with somebody, challenging that and pushing for it. But Hector, I'll let you respond.
I mean, the simple response is, Libertarian Party, every 4 years we field a candidate, and what are we losing by doing that? Nothing. So every 4 years we have candidates for governor or elections for governor all across the country. What do we lose by fielding our candidates there? What? You think people are going to be consider the Libertarian Party less than what they already consider it? No.
Maybe.
I mean, come on.
Maybe.
All we can do is up.
Bad publicity.
Possibly.
Yeah, I think so. I think in Florida, locally,
really?
you can do
Donald Trump
actual...
would disagree with you. Donald Trump would disagree with you that there's anything such as bad publicity.
Sure.
So that's the age we live in. That's the promise of the Mises Caucus too, by the way, about publicity and the culture.
Top Left says, so NBC posted and deleted misinformation that frames itself as the bad guys?
Yeah, that was also a bad take from NBC to do that. So that they look bad, right? Because those tweets make it look like NBC was saying that rather than this charity, this person from this charity.
It did have the quotes there, which makes it odd that they didn't say who they were quoting or anything, to my knowledge. I don't know.
Exactly.
I don't know. Whatever.
In Florida, if you deal with this idea of confrontational politics, you're going to have to make a decision based on just basically a hard approach. What is the value that we're doing for this? What are we going to get out of it? What do we have to lose for it? And really, at the end of the day, when you make you approach any campaign, any election, any opportunity, you have to weigh the opportunity costs that are involved here. Obviously, me committing time to this and effort and energy when I can be doing other things is a personal opportunity. But then once, how many times am I ever going to run for governor or sue a governor or even have this platform where I can talk about libertarian ideas to people who are tired of the ideas that just don't work or never come to fruition, right? So I think Florida, I have the support of the party members here. I'm on the state board of the Libertarian Party of Florida. Everybody except for Danny here is really supports my efforts here. And I do have one thing to say. There are a lot of people outside of Florida that just have one kind of vision of who Ron DeSantis is, and it is different than how people feel about him in Florida. I want to make that clear.
Got a lot of Floridians in this chat. Be careful.
I can't even see it.
Oh, I don't know.
Some new Floridians too, by the way.
Yeah, nice.
I mean, and that's the point. They came from. I mean, even there are people who just recently moved to Florida, because it's freer than wherever they came from. And if you're coming from California or New York, Matt, you were in it's night and day. It's tyranny 24/7 particularly in some places. And in Florida, it's like a breath of fresh air. It's like moving to New Hampshire with nice weather.
Yeah. So it sounds like, from your description, he's not any better than like J.B. Pritzker, because yes, J.B. Pritzker has here in Illinois, he has everything locked down, or has had them all locked down in the cities and tried passing all the things, but out on the outskirts of nowhere, it didn't affect us as much. But Ron DeSantis was saying the things nicely, and then the stuff was still the same. Is that what you're saying?
Yeah, I mean, you have to remember, it was just last November that their angry parent syndrome happened in Florida, where the Department of Justice, published a letter calling all these angry parents protesting at school boards in Florida domestic terrorists. I mean, there's something going on in Florida that, what is it, the water? No, it's just really the media has painted an image of what's happening in Florida that's different than what it really is happening. They've obviously elevated they like this back and forth that Ron DeSantis is doing because it creates a great buzz. It makes money for them. They're doing the same thing they basically did for Trump all the way in the lead up of the 2016 election, where we found out through WikiLeaks that Hillary Clinton and her people were secretly behind it to push the weakest kind of candidate forward, and which backfired on them, frankly. But the scenario is the same.
Right on. Dave, do you have any final thoughts? I think we should probably jump over to the after party. This is not what was planned, but Hector, thank you so much for being here, man, and we will have you on again very soon to dig into this stuff more. My final thought on especially the article that we're talking about here and your campaign, I think that it's not great. It's not great at all, and he knew that it wouldn't be a great look to some, and he knew that it would be a great look to others. Racist. I don't think it is racist. I don't think it is racist to appreciate at least what he's trying to do with this thing. I don't think it is stupid to support Hector Roos running against Ron DeSantis, and I trust Hector more than I do Ron DeSantis, but all of this requires further investigation for me. Hector, any final thoughts that you have and plugs and all that before we kick out of here?
I've been a big fan of both of you guys, by the way. So asshole number 1 and asshole number 2. I just love assholes. What can I say? That's right. But realistically, we gotta have got to give our candidates a chance. If you have a Libertarian candidate near you, please support them. If you want to support my campaign, you're welcome to go to Freedom Without Compromise or roostforflorida.com. I mean, this is what we're dealing with here in Florida. We're drawing the line in the sand against Republicans who say nice things, but then they don't follow through.
Right on, man.
Thanks again.
Absolutely.
Thank you, dude.
And where's the best place for people to give you money and follow you and all that stuff?
roostforflorida.com.
Right on.
That's my name up there.
Right on, man. Well, thank you so much for hopping in at the last minute. Again, further contemplation is needed on my end here to decide if I lived in Florida, who would I vote for? I don't think it would probably be Ron DeSantis. I'm not sure. Floridians, how about you guys? There's some of you in the chats. One's in the chats if you think Hector is wrong on Ron DeSantis. We'll get real here on the way out the door. Dave, where can people find you and give any final thoughts that you got, man?
Oh, here it is. Going for it. Find me right there. Go right now. That's what I would do. Goliath will fall. And on YouTube, Dave versus Goliath, Odyssey, Facebook, Instagram.
That it? Seemed like there was another one that was going to happen there.
That's it. There might be, but that's the important stuff.
All right. Thank you, guys. Thank you for hanging on the call. Also, to the people out there watching, sneak peek of what we're talking about in the after party. That's right. We're going there. We're talking about
some big-ass titties.
Hector and Dave, hang on the line for a minute, and I'll get with you in just a moment. But to all of you out there, this isn't what I planned. It might have felt a little bit scattered, but that's life. Life is a little scattered sometimes. I'm glad we got Hector in here to give me and Dave a bit of a minor slap down on what was meant to be just laughing a lot. Maybe you would have preferred us laughing a lot, but that's up to you. We got 2s in the chat. 2s, and we've got a 1. So hey, they're not completely against Hector. I don't know. You Floridians, you figure it out. This is your problem. This is your shit. Whatever. I don't want him as president. I don't want Trump as president. I don't want Biden as president. All these people suck. Hector for president 2024 until I do 2 seconds of research on him and find out that he's actually, I don't know, a commie himself. Anyway, guys, thank you so much for being here. We're going to keep the party going in the after party over at patreon.com/thesystemsdown. I'll probably have to send out a new link because this went longer than I intended. And we've got a lot of things to talk about there. That thing that I just showed you was not even the main article. We are talking about, what else? Let me see. Talking about audio files in a they've gotten to the extreme in that gender, I think it is. We're also talking about fathletes and lots of other things. So if you want to get even less comfortable than you've been for the last 2 hours, please join us over there at patreon.com/thesystemsdown, and we'll see you on the other side in about 5 to 10 minutes. Until next time, until tomorrow morning when we do 2 scoops, tune in for that as well at 7 a.m. Until next time, ladies and gentlemen, be bad, have fun, question everything, stay uncomfortable. We'll see you then. Bye.
Welcome to the system. Everyone's a victim. Doesn't matter if you're black or white, it hates you all. Here inside the system, violence is a symptom. Fighting for what's right, but somehow everyone is wrong. Dun, 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 dun.
Hey guys, thanks for watching. Be sure to like and subscribe on your way out and help us change the world one uncomfortable conversation at a time. And if you like what you hear and you want to hear more, go join the Downers Club at patreon.com/thesystemsdown for bonus episodes of the show every single week. Until next time, please continue to question everything, stay uncomfortable, and I'll talk to you then. Thanks.
This has been a Goulash Media production. goulashmedia.net.
This concludes our broadcast day. Click.